Second chapter, 71st verse. Everybody got it? I'll chant the Sanskrit and then we'll go. Vihaya kamam yaha sarvam pumam charati nishpriha nirmano nirahankara sashantim adigachati. What is Krishna saying here? Krishna says, a person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. This is another peace formula. Krishna gives a couple of peace formulas. This word shantim in the verse. Shanti means peace. Shantim is of, to achieve, receive peace. So Krishna is saying, you want peace, here's how to do it. So let's read it all together. I'll say, and then you repeat. A person who has given up all desires,
a person who has given up all desires
for sense gratification,
who
lives free from desires,
who
has given up all sense of proprietorship,
and
is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. So we're going to discuss this. Here's the purport by Srila Prabhupada. To become desireless means not to desire anything, to become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification. In other words, desire for becoming Krishna conscious is actually desirelessness. To understand one's actual position as the eternal servitor of Krishna, one without falsely claiming this material body to be oneself, and without falsely claiming proprietorship over anything in the world, is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. One who is situated in this perfect stage knows that because Krishna is the proprietor of everything, everything must be used for the satisfaction of Krishna. Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense gratification. But when he became fully Krishna conscious, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. For himself, there were no desires to fight. But for Krishna, the same Arjuna fought to his best ability. Real desirelessness is desire for the satisfaction of Krishna, not an artificial attempt to abolish desires. The living entity cannot be desireless or senseless. But he does have to change the quality of the desires. A materially desireless person certainly knows that everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavashyam idam sarvam. And therefore he does not falsely claim proprietorship over anything. This transcendental knowledge is based on self-realization, namely, knowing perfectly well that every living entity is an eternal part and parcel of Krishna in spiritual identity. And that eternal position of the living entity is therefore never on the level of Krishna or greater than him. This understanding of Krishna consciousness is the basic principle of real peace. Om Agam Timarindasya Rajan Shavakaya Chakshur Ulitam Jaya Tasmai Sri Purave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my darkened eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble, respectful obeisances unto him. So, Krishna says, a person who has given up all desires for sense gratification. Whoa, boy, that's a huge statement. And it's kind of like, wait a minute, back up here. What am I getting myself into? I like to gratify my senses. You know, we were just talking in the parking lot when I came up. Bhakti Bob and Bhakti Tim and Bhakti Jorge and Bhakti Phil. We were talking about what a wonderful day this is. The weather is just perfect. This time of day, so we're enjoying like everything, you see. Does Krishna want us to not enjoy real nice weather. Is that what he's saying here? You know? That doesn't make any sense. Why would he give us this wonderful weather and so many wonderful things if he doesn't want us to enjoy them? If they're enjoyable, how can you have weather like this? How can we have association like this without enjoying it? You see, it's not possible. But Srila Prabhupada explains, to become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification, for personal sense gratification. We desire to please Krishna. You see, we want to please the senses of Krishna. You see, that is how we desire. The living entity thinks himself, when we're in the materially conditioned and contaminated stage, he thinks himself, I am this body. This is me. You see, spiritual knowledge, self-realization, is to realize that I am an eternal spirit soul. I'm not the body. You see, I live on after the body. I was here before the body, I'll be here after the body. The body does not die. The soul does not die at death. The body dies. We trade bodies. We go on to another body. You see. So, first of all, I have to realize, who am I? And I'm here enjoying through my senses. Because how else can I enjoy? I've got smell, sight, sound, taste, feel. Got these things, you know. Hearing, I can hear. So, how can I engage my senses in transcendental gratification? You see? Now, the difference here is it's material gratification if it's for me, if it's all about me. If I add in the element of Krishna and love for Krishna, then my desires become transcendentalism. You see? I desire to please Krishna. If we recognize that this is a beautiful day, Lord Krishna is giving us this wonderful day. It's his gift. He's given us, of course, this same Krishna is going to give us 115-degree weather here pretty soon. Yeah. Figure this guy out. But today, he gave us, this wonderful day like this. We live free from desires because we desire to please Krishna. Now, that doesn't mean that we're desireless materially. We're desireless, that doesn't mean we're desireless spiritually. We're desireless materially. I'm not desiring anything for me. Now, a lot of people say, well, wait a minute. That doesn't sound very attractive because I like to desire things for me. You see? Well, I have so many things that I like, and I'm laying proprietorship to all of them. You see? I work real hard, and I make enough money that I can buy this thing or that thing, and I can enjoy it because I laid down my hard-earned money, and now it's mine. You see, I have a mortgage on this piece of property, and it's mine. You see, but it belongs to Krishna. Krishna created the planet. This is his planet. We're here, and we're claiming a little piece of it. You see. So if we claim it and say, my dear Lord, thank you for giving me this nice place. I want to live here in consciousnness of you and somehow or other serve you. And maybe use this property that you have given me to serve you, as a way of thanking you for allowing me this situation. Well, now that's transcendental. I'm realizing, my dear Lord, this is yours. You see, this drum here is made out of clay. And the clay is supplied by Krishna. You can go buy this for about 2,500 rupees, 2,200 rupees, and you can buy it, but it's all Krishna's materials, you see. So we lay proprietorship over thinking this is mine. But this is Krishna's, but it's in my care, you see. I'm accepting it, and I'm going to use it in his service. We're using this furniture, we're using this building in service of Krishna. So the devotee does that with everything. He thinks of Krishna and everything. So now, some people may think, Well, but this sounds a little dry. Well, and it is. If you leave out one main element. It's like, who here likes ice cream? Anybody like ice cream? Okay. What are the ingredients in ice cream? Let's say you have really great, fresh, straight from the farm, unprocessed, organic, free range, all the best things.